Greetings. My name is Glenn Evans, and I'd like to talk to you about time management, leadership traits, power of influence, leadership styles, and ethical communication. Start with time management. We as leaders need to recognize that multitasking or switch tasking is not a beneficial process. Studies and research cites that it is actually a drain on the production process. Anytime I interview a potential team member and they have a comment to the effect of they are a strong multitasker, I ask them how they're a strong multitasker. Because when someone tells me that, I don't think, well, that's great, this person can do more than one thing at a time. I think, why is this person not concentrating on the task at hand before moving on to the next phase of the process? Experience that I've had in the past with other team members who insist that they're strong multitaskers is that I illustrate the point of if you're home, you can't do laundry, make dinner, and do anything else at the same time. If you are, you're simply moving around the rooms. Had another team member asked her to walk me through her daily process. You've got 2 hours in the morning. Walk me through this period of time. What she and I discovered was that she was spending about 30 minutes walking from her workstation back to an information gathering point, rather than get as much information as she could at the gathering point and then moving on to her workstation and then completing her morning tasks. After we implemented a new plan for her, that's how we discovered that she was actually expending 30 minutes of her production morning. So with that extra 30 minutes, we actually assigned her to other team members that needed a little bit more hands-on direction and assistance with their morning projects. Gathering points. We as leaders, managers, supervisors, we need to be able to establish what our gathering points are and capitalize on those, whether it's email, an inbox on the desk, or your hip pocket, or a folder in a notebook. We have to be able to allocate our information and our data sources so that they're readily available when we go back to retrieve them. We don't need a consolidated gathering point, in my opinion, because at that point everything goes into one repository and it becomes a cluttered area. Also, with that, as far as time management, we always seem to put something off for later. We prioritize task one, task two, task three, and then we put task three off for later because task one and task two have a higher priority. My observation is that later is always later. So a project that may have taken 30 minutes, an hour to actually take care of has actually been pushed off so far that it's now 4 or 5 days out and it still hasn't been accomplished. So time management is more than just multitasking, as it's a drain on the process. It's knowing where to get your information from, prioritizing your tasks, and making sure that they are accomplished accordingly. Leadership traits. My typical transformational leadership traits include modeling the way, communicating a shared vision, empowerment, and encourage the heart. How we do this is with modeling the way, we are setting the example. So we are not simply talking the talk, we are walking the walk. We are establishing the presence and the image that we are what we say we are, and we are representatives of the organization. We are representatives of the team, and by us setting a good example, we actually set up a foundation for our team members and other members of the organization to follow in those steps and actually emulate different behavior models. Communicating a shared vision. There's always a better way of doing something. Some individuals think change has to occur simply for the sake of change occurring. My experience is if you can communicate with your team members, ask them what needs to be changed. What would you do differently? How do you think we need to be performing this action? That facilitates buy-in. And once you have buy-in from the team members, it actually makes the process a lot easier when it's time to implement the change. If you communicate to the team members the shared vision, you have the buy-in, and you communicate to them how they contribute to the shared vision and how they'll be rewarded for their contributions, the process seems to run much more smoothly. Empowerment. Everyone wants to be empowered. Everyone thinks that they should be given more authority we have to exercise this process judiciously. Empowerment is a fantastic technique to employ, but not all team members are prepared for that. So we have to evaluate our team members, understand their needs, and proceed in a direction that is beneficial for them and beneficial for the organization. Encourage the heart. Honestly, the first time I heard this, I thought to myself, what exactly is that? And then I learned, after understanding the concept and the notion, I've been doing it all along. Encourage the heart is recognizing good work and rewarding team members for their positive contributions and their positive behaviors. Know, love, and trust your team. You have to be authentic. You have to be genuine. You have to have trust. If you don't have trust, it complicates the buy-in process, and there's always room for a struggle when that situation presents itself. Also, when you encourage the heart and you recognize team members for their contribution, again, that's a motivator and a facilitator for other team members to emulate positive behavior. Power of influence. Power of influence is something that we should understand, and we should also understand how to use it effectively. Informal leaders. We need to rely on our informal leaders, because my instances, the informal leaders were in place before I arrived. So one of the ways that I facilitated challenging the process was I'd reach out to my informal leaders. My experience was, if I could get the informal leaders on board with me and in line with my vision and my goals, it facilitated the process a lot better. So once you have buy-in from those informal leaders and those core team members, it permeates throughout the rest of the group. Leadership styles. When I'm asked about leadership styles, the explanation that I give is I'm a situational leader. And the reason I'm a situational leader is because not all team members are going to respond to the same motivational techniques. Likewise, not every situation requires the same type of leadership style. So you may have a planned situation, you may have an unplanned situation. We have to understand how situational leadership bleeds into that process, so that we can actually negotiate the obstacles and overcome the situation. Understand the needs of your team and optimize their performance. Like I said, some people just need a pat on the back. Some people need to be told, hey, you're doing a great job. Other people need soft coaching skills, so that feedback, so that they can understand where they are and how they need to get to where they need to be. Other people need a little bit more direct coaching, such as corrective counseling. It all depends on the individual and their motivational needs. Ethical communication. Conduct yourself as a professional. Speak professionally and with equity, and make sure that your message is consistent, and also make sure that your message is in line with the organizational goals and objectives. There's always room for improvement. There is a need to advance from current state to future state. And how we get from the current state to the future state is with a shared vision, empowerment, developing human capital, and also make sure that the process improvement plan is communicated clearly and concisely and accepted. Because if it's not accepted, that's where your challenges are going to come up. And we need fewer challenges so that we can implement our process improvement plans, so that we can advance from the from the current state to the future state for the betterment of the organization and the team members. Thank you.